It's time for The Drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a Wednesday edition of The Drive with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones, coming at you live inside the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game studio, Southwest Florida's newest game in town. 2 hours to play with. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up right here on the Coastal Sports Network. Mi hermano back in the saddle. I love it. I love it. Bienvenido as we welcome back the incredible shrinking hermano, Angel Martinez, producing the show, keeping us on the air over the next 2 hours to play with. 727-858-6650. That'll get you involved into a sports talk. Bring something to the table. As always, we're powered from our good friends over at Play It Again Sports. 2 locations in South Jersey, Mount Laurel, as well as Deptford. And, of course, fresh roasted coffee. Discount code BYP20, 20% off on your first purchase. We'll do that in the 5 o'clock hour when we do our hoops picks on this Wednesday. Jonathan Marshall on the NBA has got to join us at 5:05 because I want to get into this nonsense, not only with Jimmy Butler, but also Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. He will be out again for a nationally televised game against the my New York Knicks. Go figure. I mean, you're talking about 38 games. He's only played in 13. Buyer's remorse for the Philadelphia 76ers. We will dive into it. I was thinking about this too. And we started off the conversation Monday and Tuesday, obviously NFL heavy in the 4 o'clock hour. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of spirited debates, if you will, when it comes to some of these landing spots for these head coaches. But the divisional matchups are set. The divisional matchups are set. And I wanted to bring this up yesterday, but we got so sidetracked with all you guys chiming in, all the comments, and always appreciate it. You look around the NFL, and people will say that the divisional round is the best weekend in all the sports. Okay, fine. If you look at all these teams that are left, and let's just start with kind of, to be fair, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Rams. I'm going to give you Detroit and Kansas City because I'm still not 100%. Look, CJ Stroud is a young quarterback for the Texans. Jaden Daniels is a young quarterback for the Washington Commanders. But you've got right now Allen, Jackson, Hurts, Stafford, and Patrick Mahomes. You can make a case at this moment that out of those 5 quarterbacks, 4 right now are taking that path to the Hall of Fame. We would all agree that Patrick Mahomes is a Hall of Fame quarterback right now. Would we say that Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are Hall of Fame quarterbacks right at this moment? Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Fame quarterback at this moment? Jalen Hurts, maybe one day down the road, not yet, the body of work. But it's usually the teams that have the best quarterbacking play are the last team standing. I mean, let's be honest. We've dived into the quarterback position ad nauseum over the last several months. But if you look around right now, I mean, if Patrick Mahomes goes and he wins another Super Bowl, and it's back to back to back, he wins 3 straight Super Bowls. How do you not sit there and say Patrick Mahomes is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time? No disrespect to Tom Brady. No disrespect to Joe Montana. Like, what more does Patrick Mahomes need to do? Those teams, Montana had an opportunity to do it. 88, 89, Giants knocked him out in 90. And that was, again, a great team. So you're looking around. I mean, where do we put these guys? Mahomes, Hall of Famer right now. Matthew Stafford, I believe he's a Hall of Famer. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Hall of Famers. Hall of Famers. But the difference between those guys and really Stafford, when the Rams went out and pretty much sold their soul for a Super Bowl a couple years ago, beating Cincinnati, Patrick Mahomes, kind of like the model citizen, the model quarterback, consistently high level of play and always making these deep runs into the playoffs. Lamar Jackson could really cement his legacy. Not only getting to the AFC Championship, getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. Josh Allen would cement his legacy getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. I mean, imagine you're Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, and you lead that team to the Super Bowl and you finally win one. You finally win one. All those great teams back in the day, all those teams in the late 80s and then the run in the 90s with Reed and Smith and Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly could never get over the hump. And now if you're Josh Allen, the pressure it mounts and you got a ridiculous test. I mean, it's a shame that Baltimore and Buffalo, they have to play each other in a divisional round. Like, why can't we get that in the AFC Championship? That would have been phenomenal, which obviously would mean that Kansas City gets bounced. But point being is the quarterbacking play, it's what's driving the bus in the NFL. It's always driving the bus in the NFL, period. You live and die by your quarterback play. And as we kind of look at these games on the surface, now you got an opportunity right now out of all these quarterbacks standing, and it's not even how you would rank them, but let's just go with the ones that, and I'm just being fair here. I'm not going to give you CJ Stroud. I'm not going to give you Jaden Daniels. I'm reluctant to give you Goff and Jalen Hurts. Let's go with the Ravens, the Bills, Kansas City. Let's go with these three quarterbacks: Mahomes, Jackson, and Allen. Right now, those three quarterbacks, Mahomes, Jackson, and Allen. Divisional round, down 6, $1:30 to go, a timeout. You got to go 80 yards. Who's under center? I'm really curious to get your take. Who's under center? Mahomes, Jackson, or Allen? Because we know that Patrick Mahomes, by Patrick Mahomes' standards, has had a down year. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen had put up phenomenal numbers. But who are you going to roll the dice with? So I want to get your thoughts on that today. And also, this is something that I feel as though after the Deion talk and Mike McCarthy and the Mike Tomlin conversation over the last several days, I'm hearing a lot of buzz in the NFL. And I'm reading a lot of different reports and there's rumors out there. And it seems as though, this might be the new norm in the NFL, but it's trading draft picks for a head coach. Trading draft picks for a head coach. And contrary to popular belief, if you look around the NFL, this has been done before. This has been done before for head coaches. I mean, this is not something that we sit there and, 8 times NFL teams traded draft picks for a head coach. 727-858-6650. I can't take Jaden Daniels. I mean, I love the kid. I think he's phenomenal. But I gave you the 3 quarterbacks. I know the DC crowd, the DMV, Baltimore, Maryland, you guys, you're loving it down there. You're loving with Daniels. But I gave you 3. Because those 2, still young, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, different body of work. Jackson, Mahomes, Allen. That's it, man. I'm giving you those 3. Sorry. You got to give me one. 70-something yards to go, down 6, late in the 4th, $1:30, one timeout. Who are you taking? Who are you taking? Which quarterback do you have the most confidence? And then if you want to go that second tier, like Jared Goff and Stafford, out of the 2, is Jared Goff going to be in the Hall of Fame one day? Stafford's probably going to get in the Hall of Fame. He won a Super Bowl. The longevity, the stats, the numbers are gaudy. You got Stroud, you got Daniels, and you have Jalen Hurts. And we talked at length about Jalen Hurts, who just wins. And then you got a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and you have a young quarterback in CJ Stroud. And I think Texans come back down to life this weekend against Kansas City. Now, I will add this with Jaden Daniels in Washington. I think because they are a young enough team and they've changed the culture in DC, and we're seeing some of these phenomenal comeback, the cardiac commanders, right? The cardiac commanders. I mean, look what they did against Tampa Bay. Think about their wins this year. Cincinnati. That was a crazy game. The loss to the Ravens was a crazy game. The Bears, obviously, that Hail Mary play, the lapse defensively by the Bears, it sent Chicago into a tailspin, and it basically gave Washington new life. Now, people will forget, they beat the Bears, they beat the Giants, then they lost 3 straight. And then they started to clamp it down on the defense, and then they ripped off 5 in a row. They were a hot team coming in. A real hot team coming in. 727-858-6650. Let me hear what you guys have to say. I gave you 3 quarterbacks: Allen, Mahomes, Jackson. You got to go the length of the field. And I don't think you can go wrong with any of these quarterbacks, but state your case. And I also have some numbers to kind of back up these head coaches. Is this competition now? These head coaches who have been traded for draft picks. I was nauseous hearing about Darnold. I mean, you want to listen? Do you want me to go 20 minutes on Darnold or Tomlin today? I mean, you tell me. Where are we going with that? Madman already coming with the sarcasm. Here we go. GPG coming out of the woodwork. I'm glad. Listen, I got worried. Because I thought maybe there was something going on with the reception, the Wi-Fi. I don't know, down there in Southwest Florida, sometimes there's rain, there's storms. You get the little spritz, and all of a sudden, guys got to put their right arm up, antenna, to get reception. GPG, what's up, Q, my man? How you doing? But I'm doing well. I'm going Baker. I would do Allen because he's doing really good this year. I mean, listen, right now, I'll give you mine. Between Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar Jackson, 70-something to go, down 6. I go with the quarterback who's done it before. I go with the quarterback, and it's not a cop-out, but I'm going Mahomes. As much as I've raved about Lamar Jackson, as much as I've raved about Josh Allen, give me the guy, Jaden Daniels, maybe in a couple more years. Give me the guy who's done it before. What's up, B? Always appreciate you. And it's Mahomes. Mahomes just makes plays. I mean, look, these guys both make plays. All 3 of them make plays, but I feel as though Mahomes, there's a mystique, right? There's this, you never worry with Patrick. You always feel with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to find a way to get the job done, right? Regular season, it's one thing. But come playoff time, that's where you make your money, man. And until another quarterback dethrones him in that category, when you think about this, Patrick Mahomes is only 29 years old. So let's just say Patrick Mahomes plays another, we say at a really high level, 5 to 6 more seasons, right? I know this is the dicey game, but he's already won the Super Bowl. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champ. He's a 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He's a 2-time league MVP. Offensive player of the year, all decade, second team, whatever. Just passing yards leaders, Pro Bowl, all pro. He's got records galore. If he wins it again this year, and now you're talking, and if he wins it this year, most likely he's going to be the MVP. It's just how it is. Most likely, you just get this sense that if they make it to the Super Bowl, whoever they play, Philadelphia, the Lions, whoever, and he goes 30 of 35 for 336 and 3 touchdowns, he's going to be the MVP. So you just add that to the trophy case. You add another Super Bowl ring. You're talking about back to back to back. Where are we putting him? Where are we putting him? I think he's had again, remarkable career. Jovan, my man Jovan, who's going to join us hopefully next week. Even in a down year, I got to take Mahomes. He's been in the pressure cooker many times on the big stage and isn't phased. Yeah. I'm telling you, he is. I feel as though he's Mahomes, and I don't want to equate the apples and oranges. I feel as though Mahomes is like Curry. Curry in the NBA with Golden State during their heyday. You just always felt, no matter what, Steph Curry was going to hit the big bucket. You always felt he was going to make a play. You always felt he was going to go end to end, floor to floor. You always felt he was a barrage of threes are coming. And you just don't know how to stop it. It's like the whirlwinds, right? You don't know how to stop it. I look at Patrick Mahomes like that. That's why this is no knock. I mean, listen, Mahomes, Jackson, and Allen can't go wrong, but give me the guy that's, as Jovan mentioned, pressure cooker. Pressure cooker. Been there, done that. Never, ever gets rattled. Mahomes is on top until knocked off. Don't care how off this year was. You're right. And that team is starting to get a little healthy too. Starting to get a little healthy. Mahomes has that mystique as Brady. You don't want to leave time on the clock for them. We've seen it. Go back to the Buffalo game, the squib kick. I mean, it's fascinating how great of a player. I mean, Mahomes, I look at Mahomes and I feel as though we don't really appreciate the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. I think people, you know what it is? It's like every year, and again, I'll go to the NBA. I'll go to, even baseball to some extent, right? Man, great point. It frustrates the heck out of me as a Niners fan, but what can you do? I mean, he's been fantastic. He's been utterly fantastic. You watch his career, and it almost becomes this, here goes Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. They're back in it. I mean, it's not fair. They're running through the AFC. How do you stop Kansas City? Their run eventually will end. Listen, break down the AFC and the NFC. The AFC is stacked. It's a stacked conference. The quarterbacking play in the AFC is just, I just gave you three of them: Jackson, Allen, and Mahomes. Yeah, arguably three of the top 3 to 4, 5 quarterbacks in the NFL all reside in the AFC. All are in the playoffs. All are going to play this week in a divisional round. Because it's a quarterback-driven league. And these three are magnificent. But sometimes, are we getting bored? It's like, all right, here we go again. Kansas City should beat the Texans, should they not? You would expect, listen, if Kansas City loses to the Texans, not only is it a colossal loss, it might be one of the losses in franchise history, and it would totally derail a remarkable season. No one's talking about Kansas City and Mahomes. They're not. And this is a team that went 15-2. Why? Because it wasn't this sexy blow you away type of season. How are we not? All we're talking about is Allen and Lamar Jackson. Because Patrick Mahomes only threw for 26 touchdown passes. Patrick Mahomes had, arguably from an interception standpoint, one of his worst seasons of his career. Patrick Mahomes never turns the ball over. Well, guess what? He did this season. He had 14 and 12 the last couple seasons. He had a couple fumbles this year, 11 picks, couple bad picks. All right. He's doing too much. But no one's talking about a 15-2 team, which is, it's utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. If you're going to watch a game, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a moment in the game where maybe the Texans are up 13-6, 13-7. And then maybe a call goes Kansas City's way. And all of a sudden, everyone's going to come out of the woodwork. And I hearken back to what my buddy said, and he's 100% correct. It's not like they're getting the calls. They're just that good. They figure out a way to overcome that. That's why you have to take Mahomes late game. Because you're never out of it. You're never out of it. Yeah, there's this fear with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen where they're going to try to do too much and maybe run around and scramble and hold the ball and throw across their body or have a bad pick or a fumble. And that doesn't take away what they did. It's just I don't get it. How are Kansas City Chiefs are 15-2 and they're starting to get right, and I feel as though we are not talking about them at all. And probably if you're a Chiefs fan, probably if you're Kansas City, you love that. You want to go sneaky under the radar. But I'll tell you, they turn around and they lose this weekend. Man, that would be devastating. That would be devastating because you know how hard it is to get back. No, Tommy DeVito. No. Right, no. No, he can listen, he can drive them. He can drive them to Canton. I agree with that. It's hard not to pick Pat. How can you go against Kansas City? It's like the Bulls dynasty or Golden State back in the day or when the Yankees were winning World Series. Like it's very hard to go against these teams. I'm not even talking about a gambling from a betting standpoint where the line's somewhat inflated this weekend. And typically, you look at a line like that, a lot of people think this is going to be a 31-17 Kansas City win, and they should easily cover the number. But there are just players and quarterbacks that I refuse to go. All the talk was Brady in Tampa Bay. What's he doing? Remember how his New England Patriots career ended? He threw a pick six against the Titans. He's washed. He's done. What does he do? Tampa Bay. Oh, by the way, we're hosting the Super Bowl. Yeah. Let's represent the NFC. Let's win it in Tampa Bay. I mean, there are certain quarterbacks you can never count out. There's a handful, I think, even in the history of the NFL. I think back in the day, Captain Comeback, right? Roger Staubach. You were if you were a Dallas Cowboy fan growing up in the 70s, you never counted out Captain Comeback. You just never did. He just always found a way to get it done. Bradshaw, who never put up the sexiest numbers, all he did is win come playoff time, postseason. I know people will argue Terry Bradshaw's numbers sucked. I mean, seriously, I'm being respectful. The argument I've had, I used to have this argument with my father, and he's like, no. Go back and watch what Bradshaw did in the postseason. He was as clutch as they come. Yeah, he threw some picks, and yeah, he had wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, but a lot of teams that win, Starr had Hall of Famers. Staubach had Hall of Famers. Bradshaw just happened to have a dynasty on both ends of the ball. Montana had Rice and Taylor and Craig and a hell of a defense. Brady had players, not wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, but point being is that you got to have good players to win. And there are quarterbacks over the last 30, 40 years. I would never count them. Montana. How the hell you count Montana out? I mean, Montana's down 21 points to the Eagles at Vet. Throws 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Montana always found a way to get it done. Super Bowl. Cincinnati, 88. Let's go. Right down the field. Montana to Taylor. Everyone thought it's going to be Rice. No, it's Taylor in the back of the end zone. You never counted Montana out. You never counted Brady out. Even Peyton Manning, I would say I never really counted Peyton Manning out. I always thought I had a puncher's chance with Peyton Manning. Patrick Mahomes is right there. Brady. I mean, it's just you never counted them out. No, Bradshaw's numbers are not like Eli's. Stop it. That's utterly ridiculous. Might cause for a block. A lot of people want to make excuse juices about the refs, but Kansas City is just that good. Then you had Mahomes magic on top, hard to beat. By the way, I'm pulling up because, again, these unveiled shots are just not appreciated. Terry Bradshaw made his bones in the playoffs. He did. And listen, Terry Bradshaw was 107-51. Terry Bradshaw threw 212 touchdowns in his career and 210 picks. But cut his teeth in the playoffs. If KC destroys Houston, you might as well end the argument. In what regard? Hold on. In what regard? If KC destroys Houston, you might as well end the. About what? No, because it's a regular season award. I'm just trying to get some context from the man. I'm trying to get some context. If are we saying about Allen and Jackson? And way to contribute on a Wednesday, Angel. 727. 858-6650. I'm just curious. I need a little more context to that statement. Or is he talking about the refs? I don't know. Refs in Kansas City. If they win 31-17 and the refs don't have a hand, okay, fine. See what Jovan has to say. I mean, he's got to add some context. A 15-2 team that has suffered injuries, a wide receiver in the secondary, but as long as you have Reed and Mahomes, you are good. Yeah, I think so. But once again, it's, are we ever going to sit here and say Patrick Mahomes? All right, here's a question, not to go too far down the rabbit hole. Here's a question that I am just curious. Why do we make the argument? So if Andy, we've already established Andy Reid is an all-time great head coach. We already established that Andy Reid is going to go into the Hall of Fame. I mean, we all, on a Wednesday, we can put our differences aside, but we're talking about a coach that's won multiple Super Bowls. He's going to win 300 games in his career. The model of consistency, 2 franchises, here we go. So then let me ask you this. How come when we sit there and say, did Belichick make Brady or Brady make Belichick, how come we're not doing the same thing with Andy Reid? How come we don't sit there and say, did Andy Reid make Patrick Mahomes? Or did Patrick Mahomes make Andy Reid? But everyone's so quick to do it with Brady and Belichick. That's something I want you guys to ponder. And I can see already the sensitive Susies are starting to come out on a Wednesday. 727-858-6650. We'll crank it up on the other side. We're just getting warmed up on a Wednesday edition of The Drive with Q. Keep it locked into SR 1029 FM, The Game. Powered by our good friends over at Zen Auto Concepts, the #1 detailing shop in Stuart, Florida. And also, fresh roasted coffee. 20% off. Just use the notes below in our YouTube channel. BYP20. We'll do our picks in the 5 o'clock hour. Jonathan Marshall on the NBA, Sixers issues, drama in Miami. We'll talk some hoops at 5. NFL conversation will continue on the other side. 727-858-6650. That'll get you involved. Text or call as well. We'll take you up to 6 on a Wednesday. Keep it locked in to The Drive with Q.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't forget to get social with us. Follow Q at Rich Q on Q. And now, back to Q.
All right, 30 past the 4 o'clock hour. Halfway through hour number 1.
Don't forget to get social with us. Follow Q at Rich Q on Q. And now, Back to
Listen to
Q.
me. How many? But wait, that happened to me several times. It might happen again. You have to click pause or just It happened to me several times. Bumper guy just decided, you know what? Angel be damned. I need to get in on the conversation. The other day, it was like in repeat, over and over and over and over and over. I couldn't take it anymore. And the listeners were getting pissed off. I can tell because they comment during the commercial break too. They don't like our spots. They don't like the promos. They don't like the PSAs. They want us to just be on the air 24/7. Was there? That's horrible. All right, let's get back to the commenters. I want to get into this conversation with the draft picks and head coaches. See, here we go. Vince just decided on a Wednesday. I'm minding my business. If you notice, I haven't mentioned one thing about Mike Tomlin, haven't mentioned one thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers other than Terry Bradshaw was a great quarterback. I'm having my fresh roasted coffee. I'm believing, right? This is what it's all about, believing in the cafe and the fresh roast. And what does Vince do? He decides he's going to chime in at 432. All those New York quarterbacks were trash in reality, X-Man. So going back and forth, taking shot at what? Tittle, Tarkenton, Sims, Eli. All right, whatever. Count these rings. McNabb Smith is the reason. What are you talking about? Oh, here we go. Okay. So hold on. Hold on. No. Hold on a second. So, okay, right. McNabb made Andy Reid, the same quarterback that friggin' choked in every big spot. And Alex Smith made Andy Reid. Okay, right. Andy Reid wasn't, you're right. Andy Reid wasn't a good head coach. Andy Reid didn't take the Philadelphia Eagles to 4 friggin' straight NFC championship games. No, that was all on McScab. That was all on, let me throw a couple worm burners. And Alex Smith was an average at best quarterback. He was a game manager. And I like Alex Smith, but he was the definition, again, of a game manager. You're going to take, see, this is what we want to do. We want to take credit away. We want to put it all on the player. You still got to coach in this league, because if that's the case, then I can turn around your precious Steelers and take credit away from their head coaches who have won. I mean, come on. You have to give credit where credit is due. You take a team to 4 straight NFC championships. And yeah, McNabb, when he wasn't hurt, McNabb had his moments as a quarterback. But Donovan McNabb never got over the hump. Donovan McNabb could never win the big friggin' game. He couldn't. And they did win in spite of some of Andy Reid's gaffes. And Alex Smith, listen, Alex Smith had a couple of nice runs, especially when he went. Remember late in his career, well, I should say, Kansas City, when they drafted Mahomes, you knew eventually he was going to get supplanted. But even when you look at Alex Smith in his days in San Francisco, the guy won. I always liked Alex Smith, but I'm not going to sit here and say that those guys made Andy Reid, because Andy Reid was getting run out of town in Philadelphia. And if those quarterbacks were making Andy Reid, if McNabb was making Andy Reid, guess what? He's not going anywhere in Philadelphia. They had a lot of success together. It could go hand in hand, is my point. It could go hand in hand. The quarterbacks and the quarterback position and the head coach, it is a marriage. It's a marriage. Name me a team where the quarterback and the head coach, you don't have to love each other, but you have to respect each other. And if that's the case, if you respect each other, more times than not, a really good quarterback with a really good head coach can find a way to make it work. You might hate each other, but respect each other, i.e., Vince, you're a Steelers fan. You should know this. Bradshaw and Noel, they did not get along. Bradshaw went in there early in his career. He wanted to get traded. They kept going to Joe Gilliam. Pittsburgh was not going to trade him. You know, Sims and Parcells. Sims basically stop playing Bruner. Parcells was like, all right, you're healthy. 84. This is your year. 84 playoffs, 85 playoffs, 86 Super Bowl. The head coach and the quarterback relationship in the NFL, it can be wonderful thing. It can be a extremely volatile thing, but if there's no respect between the two, you're not winning, man. You're not. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, it works. It works. Montana and Walsh, it worked. Brady and Belichick, it worked. You don't need to love each other, but you have to respect each other. Jackson Harbaugh, it's been working, but it needs to take that next level. Right? And listen, there are quarterbacks that have won, and maybe they didn't have the greatest head coach in the world. And this is no disrespect to Billick, but come on, man. Was he a great head coach? They had a great team in 2000. The Giants never stood a chance, and Dilfer didn't put up the gaudy numbers. He made one friggin' play in that Super Bowl, and it was early to Stokely, and the game was over. All I'm saying is this, like, I feel as though, let's not act as though these coaches that I've mentioned, again, they're very good head coaches, and you have to have the quarterback in place. You have to. There's got to be this synergy, right? And maybe this year McDermott makes another mistake, but yet Allen makes up for that. I don't know, but I know what's guaranteed. Reed and Mahomes are going to be fine. You know, you like to believe Harbaugh and Jackson are going to be fine. But you got three of those quarterbacks I gave you. Late in the game, 70 plus yards. You got a timeout. That's it. $130. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. I've seen it time in and time again with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think you're going to have to worry about it this weekend. I don't. It just adds to the legacy. If they get back to an AFC championship, if they even get back to the Super Bowl, that's unheard of. Yes, Buffalo did it for sure, but they never won. You're talking about, the pressure on Kansas City, 15-2, home field advantage. You know that Baltimore is gunning for you. You know Buffalo, and they catch a break because that Buffalo and Baltimore game is going to be a nasty game. It's going to be a nasty game. Those two teams are going to beat the hell out of each other. So let's just say Kansas City gets through Houston 31-17 or 33-13 or 35-10, whatever the hell it is. Mahomes resting in the fourth quarter. You turn around, you watch these two teams just knock each other around. You just see these teams knock each other around in preparation for the AFC Championship. All right, let's open it up. 727-858-6650. Jonathan Marshall, as I mentioned it, 505. They were just good quarterbacks, not great. Had them on Hall of Fame paths. Alex Smith with the injuries. Alex Smith won. See, I never looked at McNabb. McNabb never really was a clutch quarterback. He just wasn't. I'm sorry, he wasn't. And I think they were also a product, again, of bad NFCs and a bad NFC East. Yeah. Can we get back to the show already? No patience, Angel. None. There's a shot, right? I mean, what? I didn't press any button. He might be worse than my parents with technology. That's not, I mean, that's half accurate, right? I got one. Green Bay, McCarthy. A-Rod was lights out. They were 15-1 though. Remember they were 15-1 coming off the Super Bowl and lost to the Giants. Just saying. Whoa, Q with a polo sweatshirt. No more Nike hoodies. Q moving on up. No, it's just cold. I didn't feel like going with the sweats or the hoodies today. I didn't. We did that when I was playing with the dog outside. It was like 15 degrees. You have to have the hoodie. But I decided, you know what? Let me warm up. Fresh cup of coffee. Get the polo on. Why not? Enjoy it. Got it in the closet and just toss it on. Right? Jonathan Marshall at 505. Let me see what you guys are saying on X and on Facebook. Monday Marcus on a Wednesday chiming in. Q. Ha ha ha. Still crushing McNabb after all these years. If he would have stuck with the Eagles, if he didn't get traded to Washington and then played at Minnesota and he was never hurt and still put up big numbers and maybe won a Super Bowl, he's definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah, but that's not even the conversation today. It isn't. It really isn't. It's not the conversation. It seems as though you guys are more focused on our commercial breaks and my attire on this Wednesday than good sports conversation. That's what I believe, Angel. I believe they're getting sidetracked. I believe that the attention span of some of our listeners, it's like a friggin' child. More concerned. They are more concerned on the garb. Right? Yeah. I'm taking Mahomes and away we go. So the lines, there's not been a substantial amount of movement on the lines. Kansas City, 8.5. The Lions, 9.5. Eagles line went up a little bit. It opened, I think it was 6. It's sitting at 6.5. I think that's where it'll close at. And then the Ravens are a 1-point road favorite over Buffalo. And they said it's going to be cold. Q Angel, thoughts on the Philly fan getting lit up and losing his job for the videos of him going after that female Packers fan. I mentioned yesterday, I think the guy's a POS. Now, what's coming out today is that apparently the Packers fan was recording stuff ahead of time, right? So you've got, they're saying he was a content creator and he was looking for clout. So you got the Packers fan that was harassed by this low-life Eagles fan that was ripping on him and his fiance. And really, the guy's married with a daughter. So you can imagine how he speaks to them at home. And I think listen, we knew it was going to cost him his job. We knew. So the fan was Ryan Caldwell, okay? And calling this girl just nasty stuff. He issued an apology. He was fired from his job with a DEI-focused company, banned from all future events at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. So now you're 0 for 2. Don't be shocked if the wife comes down and says, I'm filing you for divorce. That's an 0 for. That's a matzo ball. That's an 0 for 3. That's not good. So he explained in a statement to the Post that the video circulating online does not reflect the full context of what transpired, and my actions were not without being provoked in the incident, which took place during the wildcard game on Sunday. Okay, so here you go. While attending an NFL game last Sunday to support my beloved Philadelphia Eagles, an incident occurred that I deeply regret, Caldwell said. What began as banter with 2 Packers fans sitting near me escalated to something more serious, and I said things that were unacceptable. In the heat of the moment, I chose unforgiving words to address one of the fans, Miss Allie Keller. I want to sincerely apologize to Miss Keller for those words. My wife, family, friends, my former employer, and you might as well revise that friggin' resume. Jerk off. Packers fans, Eagles fans, the Philadelphia Eagles, City of Philadelphia, blah, 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 blah. That said, there are 2 sides to every story. The video clip circulating online does not reflect the full context of what transpired. I will live with this experience, and I'm certainly paying a personal price. For those who don't know me, this incident does not reflect. Here's another thing that bugs the hell out of me. Why does everyone say that after the fact? Right? For those who don't know me, this incident does not reflect my values or the respect I have for others and is not an indicator of the person I am. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That, I can't stand when it was a mistake. It was the heat. No. You showed who you are. You showed your true colors. And never once did he also say anything, I was extremely disrespectful to a woman, and that's not how I feel towards women. That wasn't in a comment. So now you're hearing and you're reading that this Packers fan, it was, I don't want to say a stage setup, but he was looking to get clout. And again, I had to look this up. I guess you can't record without consent in Philadelphia. I mean, everyone does it on a phone. I don't understand that. But point being is whether this kid and his girl were looking to get clicks, I saw enough where if somebody spoke to someone I was with like that, I would have knocked his teeth in. Right? I mean, I don't know. I saw enough of the footage, like he could have easily stopped. And I don't care what the Packers fan, if he was needling him a little bit, the guy kept going and was saying really nasty stuff. And quite frankly, his company probably looked at him and the optics were, you know what? We got to get rid of this guy. The company, we got to fire him.
Yeah, because you got to figure if there was two sides to every story, then why didn't you come out as soon as you knew it was going to go on social media? So then why didn't you immediately come out and say, hang on for a second, folks, before things are said and done, let me get so-and-so and we'll put out there what really was, it's supposed to be all about. But on top of, I don't care if you were trying to get content or not, you called her the C word.
Yeah, it was bad.
Right. So even if the husband was like, all right, I'll agree upon this, but don't say that. No, you don't agree upon something like that. I don't care how many clicks. And this is the problem too with social media, is that if you think by being haha funny, let me call her C word and explore all over social media, well, then the joke's on you because it was a bad backfire. On top of, the company should have fired you because it's a bad look on the company, no matter which way you look at it. If it's the same way, what if, you're at a company outing somewhere, I don't care where you are, and then someone out of the blue decides to say, well, I'm just going to drop the N-bomb right here because of the surroundings that we're with, and I feel that it's comfortable to say so. No, you're still going to get let go no matter what. So I don't believe this whole thing where he's like, oh, what are two sides to every story? It was a joke. We wanted to get clicks. That's not the way you get clicks. To get clicks is to get something where it's not harmful to either side. And if your wife want to be in the joke and you want to be in the joke, come up with something that would make a lot of sense. That was just plain out dumb. And unfortunately, you got what you deserve because you chose to do that.
Yeah. Well, listen, remember the whole Riley Cooper situation?
Yeah.
When he used the N-word, there's no place for that kind of language. And, this guy was berating this woman.
Yep.
Seriously. And I just, again, berating this woman. And if someone's going to sit there and say clicks, likes, whatever, it's just, you can't act like that. You can't. And the other issue I have is I feel as though because everything now, this is why you really have to be careful of your surroundings. You do, like, even, for what we do, like, you just never know who's got the camera, what they're recording, what they're saying, what they're trying to set you up. It's just, you have to really, hell, look at all the stuff that's going on with the nonsense over at Fox, and everyone's kind of laughing because, you look at all these pictures of Cowherd, you might not like his opinions, but never even has his arm around any of, female contemporaries, right? He just goes home to his loving, faithful wife, and he's being faithful, and he's just, doing it the right way. But now all of a sudden you get the camera, you get the screen grab, you get the video, you save the text messages, you're screwed. Once the camera goes on and the phone goes on and I'm recording you, it's like, have some presence of mind. This guy just kept going. I don't want to hear this. That's not who I am. I don't want to hear this. That's not my behavior. It is. What's that saying? When you show yourself, typically you're really showing who you are, right? And there's no place for that nonsense. You should be able to go to these games. And it's, by the way, let's also, this misnomer, I've seen Raiders fans fight each other. Vikings fans fight each other. They probably want to take a swing at Darnold. I've seen Giant fans fight each other. Dodgers fans go at it against Padres fans and whatnot. And it's just not confined to Philly, right? Because we know that's the narrative, the perception, but it does also give a bad look. It really does. And you should be able to go to a game and watch the game and not be bothered. And you need to show me the full video. Even if they poked and pried this guy, Angel, it does not warrant the words that were coming out of his mouth. Because I'm telling you, man, can you imagine for a moment if this guy was sprouting off like that somewhere, maybe in the Northeast, or maybe in a different area, or maybe he's over in Camden, or maybe he's in Atlantic City, and he's talking like, God knows what the hell would happen. I mean, we're not even talking about getting cracked in the teeth. You know, you're being disrespectful to someone's girlfriend or someone's wife or someone's mother or daughter. There's no place. So it's like, okay, you thought it was going to be cool, and hey, man, look at me and my video's going viral. I mean, if I'm this guy, you're really, you should have this act of attrition, and you should just almost plead for mercy, man. Because think about it, he lost his job. So he might have lost 401. He might have lost pension. You know, this is going to be stapled to his resume. He wants to go pump gas. You know, why'd you lose this job? Oh, wait, are you the asshole? You know, are you that crazy fan? Sorry, not happening. I mean, was it worth it? I mean, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. So, yeah, you have to be really, really careful, man. You should be able to go to sporting events and just enjoy yourself. And yes, you know, I've been to a lot of Eagles games prior to covering, and I used to go home with my Giants stuff. And I'll never forget the one time I went to a game. This was probably 97, and I had on the old Giants starter jacket. I don't even think it was a starter jacket. Yeah, exactly. The old Giants jacket. I had my Giants hat, right? My snow hat or whatever. And I went with my father. And, you know, we're out in the parking lot, you know, and I'm just you know, having on he would just kind of just like this, right? Just like this. And he goes, listen to me. He goes, we walk in the stadium. You act like an asshole. You're on your own. So I will never forget. It was, in fact, it was the game. I'll tell you the exact game it was. Well, it was two of the games I remember. One was the Lambeau special where Ron Dixon, a hook and lateral, ran right down the sideline and they tackled him late. It would have been a unbelievable win for the Giants, but tackle late and the Eagles won the division. I remember that game because I remember I was standing up screaming and I was walking out. You know, these other kids walk by me and they're like, hey man, you know, good game. I was like, yeah, you too. And the girl opens up her jacket and it basically says, F you Giant fans. And I was like, all right, whatever. But the one game that I went with my father, I'll never forget because Jim Fossil called this play. And I think Ron Dane ran up the gut. And I'll never forget, I stood up on those horrible bleachers in a late December, freezing our asses off. And I was like, good call, good effing call, Jimmy F. Good F. And the stadium was silent. And you can hear me. I was acting like an idiot. I was going nuts. And there were two guys that were 4 rows down below. And Angel, when I say they looked like they were football players, they didn't move the whole game. They got up. They turned around and my father looks at me and goes, you're on your own, man. Got up and they took off their blanket and they had Giant stuff on. I remember I ran down. I started hugging them and like anyone that wanted to give me grief, they just kept going like this and everyone sat right back down when they saw these guys. But again, different time, man. Different time. Like you can't do that anymore. Like it's just a game. It's just a game. Like what it has no bearing on our life. It really doesn't. You're not part of the organization. You're not part of the team. You're not getting paid. You're a fan. We're fans. We act a certain way. We want to enjoy it. But this guy totally crossed the line. And he lost his job. He totally lost his job. 727-858-665. All right, let's see what you guys talking about the Rams, talking about the Eagles. What do you guys think? If the Rams beat the Eagles, aren't they the favorite with them getting healthy and the Lions still injured? No, because it's a really good question. You still have to go on the road and play Detroit. You still have to. It's very rare that Angel wasn't around the racetrack. That's why. Real quick, it's rare, to be a number 1 seed at home in a championship game. And I'll have to try to find it and be a dog and be an underdog. But yeah, you do look like you got a little little son there.
Yeah, well, it was Friday at the track where we spent majority of the day outside, including Thursday. But Friday ended up being a warmer day than Thursday, which was we went up to what 70 on Friday, and Thursday it was a cool 49, and the breeze felt like 38ish. It was chilly on the track, but see, I ended up getting the tan from trackside.
So, yeah, you look good. You look refreshed. I pulled it up. I mean, it's different with the divisional round because, as I mentioned, the Bills are a 1-point dog. I don't know how rare it is with NFC championships, but remember too, the Rams are a 10-win team, and the Lions are 15-2. So I can't, going on the road. If the Rams beat the Eagles as a 6.5-point dog, and the Lions take care of business against Washington, I would say the Rams are going to be at least a 7-point underdog in the NFC Championship. Because you got to figure, Washington won 12 games this year. And look how they're dogs in this game. Rams, they're coming on a little bit. Now, if the Rams whitewashed Eagles, I don't know, 24-10, 27-10, and the Lions take care of business and put up, 35 points, they're still going to be favored at home. As a number one seed, that's why you play for that seeding. That number one seed, they're not going to be a dog in that game. They're just not. I think it would be anywhere from 5 to 6 plus. But again, you got to see how it pans out this weekend. I mean, that would be something. I mean, the fact that the Bills, I think what does that tell you? That the Ravens are going on the road and they're favored over the Bills. What does that tell you guys? I'll just generically throw it out there. Because you got Jackson and Allen, and we're not going to do it like this, right? I mean, this game isn't going to decide the MVP. Like, I just want to be clear with the guys tuning in. The votes were cast way before the playoffs started. So Jackson, you get your all-pro, had the big win against Pittsburgh, 28-14. Allen and the Bills, they take care of Denver, 31-7. But the fact that the Ravens are a favorite, you know what they're looking at? They're going all the way back to that Week 4 game. All the way back where the Ravens beat the Bills 35-10. Now, I take it that Baltimore's a road favorite. I think that is a disrespect to the Buffalo Bills. Do you know the last time the Buffalo Bills were an underdog at home in the playoffs? Take a wild stab. The last time the Buffalo Bills were a home dog in the playoffs.
Crap. Now I'm trying to remember. It was I'm going to go back to the 90s.
No.
Before that?
Keep going back.
Jesus Christ. We're going back to the 60s?
Bingo.
Wow.
The last time the Buffalo Bills were a home dog in the playoffs, 1967.
Good Lord.
1967. So is this recency bias? Is this, okay, Buffalo handled their business against Denver, but Baltimore really listen, if Baltimore runs for 300 yards, Buffalo's going to be in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster, man. Derrick Henry, you get him going downhill. Are you freaking kidding me? It'd be a nightmare, would it not? You want to tackle him?
Yep.
You do?
No. Are you kidding me? No.
Do they know why you're no longer the incredible shrinking Hermano? The screen, we're equal opportunity here, are we not?
Sure.
Well, people are asking why all of a sudden, Angel's window is big today.
Well, because we went through this before. After the realignment of the studio, the host normally, as you guys are watching, is on the left. The co-host or producer is on the right. So you end up doing it that way, and it just makes it easier. Now, I can revert it back to
no. You're doing now. I mean, then that's it. Just no. We're creatures of habit, man. Don't please. just then they get in a cluster if it's 401, and we're still processing or buffering. Last week, straight up 4-2 against the spread, 3-3 overall. Straight up for the season, 196.82 against the spread, 147, 127, and 4. Again, so this is basically if you're talking from a betting standpoint, right? So if you're looking at your best bets, and if you're logging on to some of these different sites, check out WTOP News. They do a really good job with some of the lines against the spread, 10-8, but their best straight up 11-7. And oh, by the way, I butchered my Vikings pick. But see, the funny thing is, you guys on Monday and Tuesday hammering me over Sam Darnold, but nobody commented or text in, "Hey Q, thanks for giving me those 3 player props because I played all of them and I won all 3 of them." Instead it's great pick with Darnold. You suck. He sucks. He's trash. You're trash. What the hell you thinking? What are you watching? You still like slinging Sammy Darnold? Get off the monitor. All right. Player prop hockey, Hawkinson over. Sam Darnold rushing yards over. Passing yards under, hit. Thank you very much. But see, this is what we do. We just focus on the friggin' negative. You know what Wednesday's show is going to be called?
What's that?
I think we should call our show on Wednesday, like a Wednesday show. Oh, by the way, they changed. It's no more Man Up Monday. I'm just giving you a heads up. It's now either Manolo Monday or
oh, Jesus.
or what was, I think the Man had, what did he say it was? Was it Luna Loca? Loca?
What the hell's that got to do with Monday?
They're just throwing names, man. They're throwing different names at the segments. Oh, I think it was a Loca Lunes. So,
okay. All right. Well, then I'll take that one.
Maybe Wednesday, because Friday is a What the Freak Friday. Maybe Wednesday is a no negative Wednesday. How about that? We're not going to be negative on a Wednesday. Is that fair? That gives us momentum to get over the hump. Over the hump is cliche. It's used. I mean, we're not 2 camels. So, do we go
Wednesday?
We will. All right. 5:00, 16 of books. No negative Wednesday. 16 of books, 60 to play with. Quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We will talk to the Frosties trying to stay warm. Jonathan Marshall. We'll talk a little NBA. Coming back on the other side.
Hey, Dad. Your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad. Your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Call or text the show at 727-858-6650. Now, back to Q.
All right, couple of minutes past the 5 o'clock hour. 16 a book, 60 to play with. We will take you up to 6 o'clock straight up on the East Coast on a no negative Wednesday edition of The Drive with Q. Rich Quinones here. Angel Martinez behind the glass producing the show, keeping us on the air. We're powered by our good friends over at Zen Auto Concepts, #1 detailing shop in all of Florida. And the way he's dressed, our guy Jonathan Marshall getting ready to talk some NBA. I mean, we're in Boston. Is it? I'm going to venture to guess. Is it snowing up there? You got your Eagles garb. I don't see any Sixers garb, but you got the little snow hat. You got a shovel out there.
Well, number one, it's a balmy 20 degrees. It was sunny outside today. We got a nice little coating of snow a few days ago. So, just a regular New England winter. Nothing here to worry about,
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, listen, it's nasty, nasty weather up and down. I know, we'll get to your Eagles in a second because I know you are definitely excited about that. And of course, Jonathan Anchor at WMUR. All right, let's start with the Philadelphia 76ers. The Embiid nonsense. Embiid will be out again tonight. Nationally televised game against the New York Knicks. My New York Knicks. What's it? 31 games. He's only played in 13 of them. I think it's been thus far. I mean, I feel as though this is going to be really bad buyer's remorse. I mean, it's a bad look for the NBA again. It's a bad look for the 76ers, and it's a bad look for Embiid.
Q, it feels like every few months we're having the same conversation, right? At this point, if you believe in the 76ers as a franchise, that's on you. Because all the signs have pointed. We've talked about this for, I feel like, a couple years now, where this was going. And so at this point, there's only one solution. But once again, the Sixers, Daryl Morey, the ownership, who, by the way, is more focused on the Commanders, but that's a whole nother conversation.
No doubt.
If you really want to talk basketball and logical and common sense, which more oftentimes than not, these teams do not, you sit them down for the rest of the year, you get rid of them because it's over. Like, this era is over. How many times do you have to go through the same cycle over and over and over again? And let me tell you something. You don't get better as you age. Your body does not get better. If you're injury prone at 30, you'll be injury prone at 31, 32, 33, 34. It only gets harder to recover.
So you're suggesting right now, sit him down for good. You're suggesting right now, sit Embiid down.
Well, there's two avenues, Q. Let's say you go through this game of hope, selling hope to the fan base. That's all the Sixers. The Sixers are A1. When it comes to selling hope to the fan base, elite.
Yeah.
Top 10 franchise in all of sports selling hope, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to sell hope and continue to do this crazy game, then okay, you're not making the top 6. You're going to be in the play-in. You finish in the play-in. Let's say you get out of the play-in round. You play at Cleveland. You play at Boston. You're getting out of here with the quickness. Your draft pick's going to OKC. The worst thing that you can do is finish outside the top 7, and then that pick goes to OKC, who could be a championship team and still get a top 10, top 13 draft pick. So would you rather take your chances with that or take the Band-Aid off now, sit Joel Embiid down, start playing these young guys, Justin Edwards, Bona, just start giving these fans a plan, because right now the plan is on a shaky foundation, and that's Joel Embiid's knees, his foot now. I don't know what the issue is, but regardless, it's not going to end well. You're in danger of becoming the Chicago Bulls, the Washington Wizards, the Portland Trailblazers, and that's irrelevant.
Yeah, but
they're already irrelevant now, but you're in danger of being irrelevant on a yearly basis.
No, they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
Listen, this harkens back not just from what's transpired over the last several years. Mm-hmm. It's just right. I mean, again, you are who we thought you are. He's a soft player. I don't care about when he's on the floor, when he's engaged. I don't want to hear it anymore with this guy. I don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a Sixers fan, but it gets to the point where it's embarrassing. Like, well, when he's out on the floor, he's dominant. He's never on the floor. He's not available. He doesn't want to play in back-to-backs. He doesn't want to play in nationally televised games. He does not have the heart. He just doesn't. And the fact that he's deciding, all right, you know what? Maybe I'll play for X, Y, and Z during the Olympics or this or that, and then come out out of shape, have the knee issues. He's a big enough man. So if he's not taking care of himself mentally, he's not taking care of his body physically, this is what you get. So this whole nonsense from years ago, the process, I don't, if I will run through a brick wall if I hear it again. Like, it's done. It's embarrassing what this team has given their fan base, because ultimately they've given them shit. They've given them nothing. They get out of the second round. Get out of the second round. And it's just, it's a false sense of security constantly. You have all the talent in the world, but he is a lazy, soft child. That's what he is. And it's like you're watching him get on the floor, and you can be great. You can be dominating. You can be a dominant player. He chooses not to be. And that's the most frustrating part.
It's a tease. And, you know, a team, and you know this, a team takes on the mentality of their star player, of their best player, right? And so what have we seen from the Sixers over the years? They're front runners. When things get challenging and things get tough and you have to pull through, what do? They crumble. That's a product of who your leader is, who the best player on the floor is. If your leader is not showing up and doing what he has to do, taking care of his body, being there, being a presence, being on the bench, even though you're hurt, you can still show up and support your teammates, right? That's the least you can do, right? You're getting paid millions of dollars to be a professional athlete. Least you can do is show up and support your teammates, right? And so Tyrese Maxey, a young guy, has to challenge him on his leadership and how he's performing as a professional. There's no excuse for that. You're not a kid anymore. You're 30 years old. You're a grown man. And so I'm tired of enabling these athletes who aren't showing up and doing the job that they've been paid to do. And so it's funny, when they beat the Celtics on Christmas Day, I wasn't moved at all, because I know where this is going. That was their championship. That was their NBA Finals, beating Boston on a meaningless Christmas Day game. Let's just be honest. The Celtics have bigger goals in mind. One game in December is not going to make or break them. But the Sixers, you can tell how much that meant to them. Where are we at weeks later? You came back to play the Nets. You had a major game. You did all year, whatever you do. It's not moving me, because you're padding your stats against a team that's ready for Cooper Flag and the rest of them next year. And so you're missing the next 5 games because of a foot injury that you suffered on Christmas Day. I just don't want to hear it anymore. Anytime he comes back to play, he has a big performance. I know where this ends up. You cannot feed into it. It is over.
It's a nonsense, Jonathan. For years, look at Ben Simmons in the summertime. He looks ripped and he's shooting videos. Like, okay, so you're at this point. You give Embiid $193 friggin' million. You give him a contract extension. He's not available. When do you just sit there and rip the Band-Aid off and try to trade him? And I know it's difficult to do in the NBA when you start to get involved with some of these max contracts and taking on the salaries and mixing and matching and having to get multiple teams involved. What's the alternative?
Yeah. And so the argument that people may say, well, what are you going to get back from? You're not going to get back anything from Embiid. You're not going to get back equal value. Well, I would say is, to me, I could care less at this point. It's not about what I get back. It's just getting rid of Embiid and starting over, because he's not playing anyway. So what's the point? What's the difference? Why are you so concerned about getting something in return for a player who isn't showing up? It's just, to me, that argument of being afraid of not getting back, you're not going to get back equal value. He's an aging player. He's injury prone. No matter what you do, no matter how long you wait, actually, the longer you wait, the less you get in return.
It's worse. It's worse.
So the reality of it is, this ownership, the GM, Daryl Morey, they're not going to trade Joel Embiid, because that will signal we're punting on this season. We're starting a new rebuild. And that might not make the fans happy. And so this is a thing of business and making money and selling tickets and selling hope. If they continue with this process, it's all about selling hope and false dreams. It's not about winning, because you can't be a serious operation if you see what's going on and you continue to go through that door. We know what's through that door. We've been telling you, we've been warning you, but you still decide to go through it, because selling hope is what sells.
Listen, we knew it before he got drafted with the foot injuries. We knew it before he got drafted. I mean, they've lost 3 straight, 6 of 8. They haven't gotten out of the second round. You mentioned they've had a moment here and there, but other than that, I mean, how you turn around, and listen, here's the other thing. And it's the elephant in the room, right? You got to go and get him a player. You got to go and get him a complimentary player. They tried it. Simmons didn't work out. Harden didn't work out. Maxey, it's not working out. Like, okay, stop Aaron Rodgering with this guy, right? Placating to him. You know, you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference. I mean, the Cavs are off to just a ridiculous start. I don't know what the Cavs are doing yet, unless you are a hoops junkie. You would sit there and say there's sustainability with this. I mean, is this smoke and mirrors with Cleveland, this type of start, or this is a legit, hey, you know what? If you're talking about Boston and Milwaukee and maybe the Knicks in the Eastern Conference, or let's just say Boston right now, the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics as it stands coming out of the East are the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I believe in Cleveland more so than Milwaukee. I think Kenny Atkinson has been a fresh voice. I think having a new voice in a locker room does wonders for teams and individual players. And I think Kenny Atkinson is getting the most out of guys like a Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. And so combining Garland and Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, they have a nice core of surrounding pieces that come off the bench. Ty Jerome is one of the best point guards off the bench. I mean, they have a nice solid rotation. And so what they bring, the energy that they're playing with, the confidence that they're playing with, I think Cleveland is definitely a threat. I believe in Cleveland more so than I have the previous 2 years. And so I'm definitely buying Cleveland as a threat to Boston.
Listen, Boston's still Boston, right? Because, you know, and we were talking the NFL before, and it's, if you've done it in the past, I trust you more. Boston obviously has done it in the past. Now, I want to stay in the Eastern Conference for a moment. And what do you make of what's transpiring in Miami right now with Jimmy Butler? Because that marriage is pretty much over with. It's done.
Yeah, not surprising because it never ends well when it comes to Jimmy Butler on his way out. So this was bound to happen. You know, when you're talking about an aging player, an ownership that doesn't want to pay that aging player, letting him know so, I get both sides. Jimmy wants to get paid before he goes into the sunset. And Pat Riley's like, look, you're not worth it. You're 30, you're in your mid-30s. Your best days are behind you. There's no purpose in paying you. And so for me, looking at the landscape of the NBA and where Jimmy Butler could go, does he really swing the landscape of the NBA? Unless he's going to a Milwaukee, an OKC, a Memphis, a Houston, where is he going to swing the NBA? I don't think going to Phoenix will make them better. I still don't buy them to being a championship contender because you have to win on the margins. And I don't think they have the solid role pieces to elevate themselves in the Western Conference. And it's an old core. So you're banking on Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker for this year, for next year. And then what else? Right? And so you're still not better than OKC. I still like Houston and Memphis over you. I still would give Denver the edge with Jokic. Dallas is still a threat. And so for Phoenix, getting Jimmy Butler will, once again, you're putting together, you're playing fantasy basketball, right? You're putting names together, but you're not building an actual cohesive basketball unit. And that's Phoenix's problem.
What? I've never really heard this before, but you know, a player coming out and saying, look, I'll pick up the tab. I mean, he's willing to pick up what, 52 million option? If
it must be nice.
What is that? But that tells you he wants out that bad. I mean, it's a shame because, you know, think about what he was able to do with that franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, it's rarely going to end well in a situation like this, right? Like we see with the Warriors, like it's not going to be a happy ending for the Warriors. They're losing games now. They're a bad team. With Jimmy Butler in Miami, look, given the history of Miami and what they're about, they're not going to take the chance on overpaying an aging player. It's just not going to happen, right? And so for Jimmy, he wants his money and he wants it his way on his own terms and he wants to go. And so for me, okay, trade him to Phoenix, whatever Miami might get back, it's not going to be anything worthwhile. And so for me, it's just a situation that both sides need to free themselves and get what they want. But I don't think for either side it ends in a winning situation. I just don't envision that.
Nick in Delaware on Facebook chimes in. Q, enjoying the Sixers talk. I'm curious to get Jonathan's take. When it's all said and done, how will we look back at this era of Sixers basketball? I'll throw that to you.
What if? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. The era of woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if, what could have been. The era of false hope. That's all it was.
They've just
we were sold hope. We were sold hope.
Yeah, well, I mean, and from the great line in the Shawshank Redemption, hope is a dangerous thing. It can drive a man, insane. It's got no place
Dude,
in these
dude,
walls.
they had a starting backcourt of Reggie Jackson and Eric Gordon against the Thunder in 2025.
Yeah,
That was never a legit backcourt to begin with. And no matter what year you say, they could
No.
be in their 20s. That's still not a good backcourt. But in 2025, Eric Gordon and Reggie Jackson?
See but see, Jovan. So is Jovan saying tank the rest of the season, right?
Yes.
Top 5. But we've done this dance before.
Mhm.
Like that's the one problem. The NBA you can tank,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
The NFL you really can't.
Mhm.
The NBA I can just put G League guys out there. I can keep signing 10-day Yeah, the NFL I can active roster and whatnot, but it's a different animal in the NBA. And the problem is the NBA is predicated on the ratings. They are. The NFL doesn't have to worry about that. We're going to watch games. It doesn't matter who's playing, even a bad Thursday night game.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. The NBA, when you have these national games on ESPN, on ABC, on TNT, these matchups, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, the Knicks, Phoenix, the Clippers, whatever, the Lakers, you got to be accessible. You have to be out there. You don't think right now Adam Silver is probably racking his brain saying another national spotlight game, and you're talking about one of the stars of the league who's not out there?
Yeah. This is what we've been trying to say for years. We know what this is with Joel Embiid. How many times do you have to keep on trying to sell? You're just selling hope to these fans that one day he'll be healthy enough to put it together and carry this team throughout a playoff stretch when they haven't been out the second round in how long?
No.
And who's been the one constant? That's Joel Embiid. It's a wrap. It's done. And the thing in the NBA is, if you follow the certain models like an OKC, like a Memphis, like a Houston, how did they build those teams? With great talent evaluation, building through the draft and developing that talent. Doing it the right way, though, this time around. Doing it the right way. But can you trust the Sixers front office and the scouting department to do it the right way? That's another question probably for another show. But hey.
I feel as though I think the NBA, it is a players-driven league. Like in the NFL, if you've got a disgruntled player, the player's traded.
Mhm.
And I know it's a rarity at times with some of these position players, but in the NBA, if you got a disgruntled player, the coach gets fired.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if you look at the Sixers track record, it's like the Aaron Rodgers-esque. We're trying to appease one player. And in the NBA, we all agree, if the Batman had the Robin or vice versa, you should be good to go.
Mhm.
So if you're blending in players, I mentioned the Simmons, the Harden, the Maxey, and it's not working with him, wouldn't you take a step back and say, maybe it's not them, it's him? Like, I feel everyone's so afraid to discuss the elephant in the room, and maybe players just, they can't play with this guy.
Mhm.
I mean, does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense. But here's the thing with human nature, Q, right? We're enamored by talent, special talent.
Oh, no
It's
doubt.
the same case in New Orleans with Zion Williamson. He did his windmill 360 and everybody said he's back. Next day he's suspended. Same old Zion, right? But here's the thing. But we're enamored with great talent. And when we see it, we see Joel Embiid do these great things, put up huge numbers. Like, there's no way we can trade him. He's too special of a player. But no. I don't think he's bigger than the franchise. Because
Listen,
what is
I know
Joel?
Sixers fans are fed up. I know Sixers fans, they are absolutely.
It's about time, because there were still people still believing, but it's like at a certain point, you can't keep feeding these lies to your fans, thinking that they're going to hang on. They're taking advantage of the fan base. That's exact. They're taking it for granted.
Yeah.
They are taking it for granted. That's what they're doing.
I see a couple guys, and I want to get to some of these comments. 727-858-6650. Some good actually, some good takes. Again, Jonathan Marshall, kind enough to join us. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock to drive with Q. Rich Quinones here. Jovan says it might be crazy to say this. Brooklyn might have a better future outlook than the Sixers. Yeah, well, when you're so bad and you acquire draft assets and draft picks,
Detroit.
There you go. And we were killing them. I don't know. Can we throw Washington in that conversation, or that's just a
they actually have better young pieces than we do. I would actually rather see some of the young guys they have than the Kyle Lowry era. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Vince chimes in. Cleveland is the most complete team in the league. Good, solid, unselfish stars. Yeah, well, we both like Darius Garland with good defensive bigs, plenty of shooters off the bench. But I like his second comment. Would the Bucks trade Lillard for Jimmy and the Heat finally get Dame as they tried last year?
I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do that. That'd be interesting, though. That'd be interesting. But Dame won in Miami in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the funny thing. To do that despite Jimmy, right? Oh, we got Dame, and now you're in Milwaukee. I don't think that would go down too well.
Your squad, well, OKC, you've been preaching, right?
I've been preaching for the last few years, Q.
Yeah, and listen, that was a team that was really bad, and we looked at them and said, strip them down, strip them down. Obviously, you got SGA. He's a beast. I mean, he's averaging 31. You can throw him in the MVP conversation. Williams has played well. Holmgren's played well. My guy, Hartstein, has played well. A little juice, right? And hey, they're playing, what are they, 33? They went 33, 34.
They're hooping, Q.
Yeah. Now, are they the most complete team in the Western Conference?
Yes.
I
think
feel
so.
as though all these, Memphis issues, inconsistency, injuries. Denver issues, inconsistency, injuries. Houston, they're going to come back down to earth, even though they won. So I feel as though OKC, if they keep at this pace, they're going to make a mockery out of the Western Conference.
Yeah, I do think OKC is the most complete team in the West. When you talked about SGA, obviously he's the headliner, but adding Isaiah Hartenstein to that front court was big. A physical presence, a guy who can bang in there. Even without Chet Holmgren, they're still holding down their own. So when Chet does come back, Hartenstein can sort of do the dirty work that maybe Chet can't do full time because of his frame. You have a Jalen Williams who's like a secondary option for them, but you also have Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, a Lou Dort, Alex Caruso coming off the bench. So this is just a team of young guys who are finally finding their way in this league, and guys who are figuring out their roles in the NBA. They're stars in their roles. They're elite role players. And so the way that they play, the confidence, the joy, you could tell they love playing with each other. It's just a right mix. And the rest of these teams in the Western Conference, I don't think can match with them from top to bottom, with the chemistry, with the youth, the coaching. It's just a good situation they have going on in OKC, and they could have a lottery pick next year. We'll see, depending on what Philly does.
I know it's early, but it's not in the season. Once we get past Christmas and the holidays and, 35-something, 40-something games. And who is the MVP right now?
SGA. I think this is his time. I mean, it's a couple of years now where he's sort of led the way for OKC being a talked about contender, in the NBA. And so to do what they're doing this year with the expectation was, okay, now we're focused on OKC. They're not shocking anybody. 33 wins, 6 losses.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because Giannis is putting up just as good numbers, but they're not as good.
Right, exactly. And this is still a pretty, people don't forget, this is a young team.
Yeah.
Right? And so what SGA has been able to do to elevate the rest of his guys, and once again, we talk about winning. He's doing it back to back. And so I think this is SGA's moment. The Thunder are my favorite to come out the West. And I feel they would give Boston, OKC will give any Eastern Conference team a problem in the NBA Finals. I'll just say that.
All right, let me leave you with this for the NBA. I am a hoops junkie and a hoops historian. You know that.
Of course.
Even, for those that are just tuning in, Jonathan used to be my intern when I was on 1290 The Ticket. So I've watched this young man go from not shaving to now shaving, to getting married, and on TV and doing his thing. What do you make? And I was just floored that Chandler Parsons would rank Kevin Durant over Kobe Bryant. I think that's not even arrogance or ignorance. I don't want to say stupidity. I just think that's cluelessness. And this is a guy that played in the NBA for well over a decade. I feel as though Kobe Bryant is one of the most underrated players that have ever lived. And I think people don't appreciate just how great a player Kobe Bryant was.
Yeah. There's a certain level of disrespect that I think people have toward certain legends. And as the years go by, it only gets worse. And so the fact that we even have to, combat that, talking about Kobe Bryant versus a Kevin Durant, who we've seen, KD is a great talent, one of the best
It's apples and
scorers
oranges, man.
we've ever seen. But Kobe, his impact on the game, his mentality, he was the closest guy that I would say was like Jordan. And if I consider Jordan to be the greatest of all time, and Kobe was in that mold, then we shouldn't have this conversation. It's different. They're just levels. Like Kobe is a Jedi. He's a basketball Jedi, a Jedi master. Excuse me. He was a basketball Jedi master.
I mean, here's the other issue is this. So when you start to have these conversations, I mean, I've had people actually tell me, Birdman, I'm like, did you watch these guys play? Magic Johnson was not the best defensive player, or his shot was ugly, but for his size, what he was able to do up and down the floor and the court vision, that's right there itself was a uniquely talented, starting game 6 finals as a rookie, right? Yeah. Center, forward, point guard, scoring 42 and pulling down 16 and the Lakers win. I mean, him and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA. And Larry Bird was as cold as ice, man. He would tell you, I'm going to beat you for 35 tonight, right? Yeah. And yes, those teams had wall-to-wall Hall of Famers. When you've got Cooper and Thompson and you got Kareem and you got Worthy and you got, even, the older guys coming off the bench at the time, or you got, Cornbread Maxwell and you got Parrish and you got McHale and DJ and Bird on. Those were wall-to-wall Hall of Fame teams, right? And I hear people say they're not even in the top 5. They're not even in the top 10. I mean, come on, stop. It's because now they don't, the younger player, the younger fan, they do not appreciate, okay? They don't appreciate the guys that paved the way. Like Jerry West was a great player. He was a great player. Wes Unseld was a great player. Oscar Robertson was the only man to ever average, before it came sexy, a triple-double, an entire season. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, again, we talk about the skyhook, but he also played both ends of the floor. The skyhook was famous in 71 with the Bucks, and then that was Lou Alcindor. Then it turns into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, Bill Walton, great big man. I hear people disrespecting Shaq. Are you kidding me? Like Chamberlain, he would eat these guys' lunch. It's unbelievable that people forget the history of the game. But when you come out and make a comment like that, I got to call out the BS. And this is not an indictment on Durant, and it's not a Jordan or LeBron. If you're going to compare, and I've said this ad nauseum, the player you compare LeBron to is not Michael Jordan. It's Magic Johnson. That's it. Because of the size, the stature, the style game. LeBron is bringing up the ball. Right? I need a natural point guard. I don't need a 6'9", whatever the hell height he is, bringing up the ball like that, being a power forward. It's utterly ridiculous. Yeah. So I just feel as though it's a disservice to some of these guys, man. It really is when you go back and you look at the game has changed, right? Because Dr. J's prime was when he played in the ABA.
Right.
That was his prime. People forget that, right? And they make the move from Moses, and here we go, right? Okay, fine. Everyone was looking, who's going to be the next? Who's going to be able to just put the ball on the floor and just glide all over the place? Then we get the kid from Chapel Hill. We get Michael Jordan. Everyone wanted to figure out who's going to be the next Michael Jordan. Is it going to be Vince Carter? Is it going to be Tracy McGrady? Oh, look, it's this kid from Lower Merion. Who's going to be the next Kobe? Oh, here's this kid from enjoy them while they're there. But to dismiss or be dismissive or not recognize the impact and their greatness is utterly absurd. And I'm sorry, I don't put Kevin Durant
Yeah.
Kevin Durant couldn't hold Kobe's jock.
And you know, it's tough, right? Because these are two totally different players, two different builds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Kobe was a straight just menace on the court. It's different. Like take away, look, KD is one of the most skilled basketball players at his size. We get it. But when it comes down to it, game on the line, fourth quarter, who would you rather have, Kobe and KD? Your answer will tell me everything I need to know about how you view the game.
Kobe.
So what are we talking about? How is he the better player? What are we talking about? I got these two guys right here.
Yeah.
Menaces,
yeah.
dogs.
Yeah.
So when they bring up AI in conversations about certain players today, I'm like, no.
The
different.
other thing too is, you go back and you watch film with Kobe at Lower Merion, and you had players. They would sit there and interview him right as a kid, young kid in high school, and say, somebody said they were going to hold you to 20, and he kind of rolls his eyes, and then he scored 40. Like the dog mentality, right? The will to compete. I'm sorry. That's not Kevin Durant wants to have burner accounts. Kevin Durant is not that guy. And GPG with a good text. Same thing with other stuff like music and other sports. The younger fan or the younger person feel like anything that happened before them or before they were born doesn't make anything, doesn't make sense, right? It's not good for anything, which is it's ridiculous. If you don't have all the players, musicians that come in the past, there would be no future, right? And to your point, it's a good one. The players that you guys are just mentioning, they're all fantastic. They paved the way, man. If you go back, you watch Bird, man. I'm telling you, go back.
Bird was different.
Are you kidding me? Go watch. Look, I know that 84 team was ridiculous and they lost one game at home. They were fantastic. Even Isaiah Thomas, I think Isaiah Thomas is one of the most underrated guards we've ever seen. Isaiah Thomas doesn't get the love. Why? Because of his personality, and he got iced out of the Olympics and the Olympic team and the relationship with Jordan and the butting heads. He was an assassin, man. I mean, Isaiah was a pure scoring point guard.
Yeah.
And he was. He would dish, but if you needed 40, you'd get it. Iverson would score first. Then he'd look to dish. Now, you're going to tell me Iverson's not a top 15 player of all time? If you're talking about guys at a certain height, size, how do you not put him in the conversation?
I laugh every time I'll see old clips or watch video of AI because as little as he is, the defense is focused on him. It's not as spread out as it is today, and he's just getting his game off, Q. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop these guys. So imagine a wide open game, AI now, where the defenses really aren't playing defense. I can just step up and just do whatever I want, untouched. Oh, I'm getting 60. I'm getting 60 like it's nothing.
His
mid-range game was there.
The NBA was so different.
Yeah.
The NBA was so different. Listen, that 85-86 Celtics team, they won 67 friggin' games. And they beat a young Olajuwon team for 6 games. You go back, that 86-87 team, they won 59 games. They lost to the Lakers in 6. That tells you how great that Lakers team is. But you're going to sit there and tell me with that Celtics team, I mean, you're talking wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, man. That Lakers team had wall-to-wall. In the 80s, 2 teams played in the finals, every single finals in the 80s. That was the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah.
Magic and Bird.
Yeah, that was their era. They owned that era.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kobe being Bryant shouldn't be mentioned with certain individuals. I'll just say that. I saw it. I watched. I saw KD from the beginning as well. And let me tell you, Kobe Bryant is different. That's all I'm gonna say. It was different.
He was a fantastic, just a fantastic player, man. He was. All right, I'll give you 30 seconds to wax poetic about your words.
Oh, you mean a real Philadelphia sports team? A competent front office, a competent GM, a competent organization that's about winning championships and cares about its fans?
You probably might win in.
Listen, the Rams are going to be tough. I feel like people are starting to believe in the Rams, but Matthew Stafford in the cold, I love it. I'll take it. But I think Detroit is the team that everybody wants to see. Everybody's picking, so we'll be the underdogs. Nobody respects us again. We'll take it. I'm confident though. I'm ready. We're ready. We're ready to go.
Hold up.
And thank you. I can never thank you guys enough in New York and Jersey for giving us Saquon. Like, thank you.
Yeah, because
Thank
he's rushed for 2,000 yards behind the Giants' offensive line. Really?
Thank you.
Just where
Thank,
we're
but
going right now.
we thank you though. We thank you.
Yeah. This is
Thank
don't
you.
need- no, there's absolutely no applause. No, get rid of
Thank
that. Listen, two things. You're getting a little too cocky. And I thought maybe marriage would soften you up a little bit. Instead, it's
She's an Eagles fan too. I converted her.
Can you divulge the other news? Is that public domain?
Oh, of course. I will have a young budding Eagles fan arriving on Earth in May as well. A baby boy coming.
Good. A little boy?
A little boy.
We told you Richard's a strong name.
I'll tell that to her. I'll
Yeah,
tell that to
please.
her, and I'll tell you what she said.
That should soften you up a little bit. Your takes shouldn't be as, cocky and confident. You better not lose against the Rams.
We're not going to lose. I'm confident in that, Q. We're ready.
Rams defense play well. Now,
They played Sam. I'm seeing Ghost Darnold. Come on, come on. Like we can't. Let's slow down the Rams hype a little bit. It's Sam. Nobody's shocked at how Sam Darnold performed.
Whoa. Yeah, listen. I got to take the shrapnel on that one because Slinging Sammy, I thought he was on the verge of $130 million.
He couldn't handle it. It was too much pressure.
Next quarterback.
He could not handle it. Come on, Minnesota. The Vikings are perennial chokers in the playoffs. From Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold, it's the same thing.
That's fair. That's fair. But
nothing new. I was rooting for. I wanted to see Sam Darnold at the link. I wanted that. I wanted him to see the ghost of Case Keenum and all those guys. I wanted him to see that. But we'll get Stafford. We'll send him home. He needs to retire soon anyway, so we'll send him along his way.
Listen, don't overlook the Rams.
I'm not buying it.
If they get through the first quarter unscathed, if they can weather, think about it. Well, hold on. Look how they start against Minnesota, and look how Green Bay started against the Eagles. You fumble the opening kickoff, and right there, it's tailor-made for the Eagles to jump on you. That's what good teams do. Now, I pose this question, and I will ask you this. Well, two. Do you believe that Jalen Hurts is just misunderstood? In this regard, I feel as though people look at Jalen Hurts and he doesn't give you what you really want, but he just goes out there and wins.
I'm confused, right? Because on one end, if you're not winning games, what are you going to say?
Get rid of him, trade him, sit him, bench him.
He's winning games, and people are saying he's not good enough.
Right.
The job of a quarterback is to lead the huddle, is to make plays, to protect the ball. Did he turn the ball over on Sunday? I don't think he did.
He played well against the blitz in the second half.
Did he make crucial throws on third down? Did he make crucial plays?
He didn't have to do too well. Let's just forget about the Packers.
Listen,
but
he's
just
not
as a
Mahomes.
whole in his career.
He's not Mahomes. I get it. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Lamar Jackson.
Which leads me to this question right now.
That's the thing. Because he's not those guys, he's not Sam Darnold. Do you want Sam Darnold? Like, what are we talking? What's wrong with him being just underneath that elite category? Because it's good enough. It's good enough to, as far as I'm concerned, he was good enough to win the Super Bowl against Mahomes. That defense couldn't hold up. James Bradbury was cooked.
Yeah.
Let's not rewrite history.
He had to fumble, the fumble in the game, which
Sanders,
but if they win the game, you're right. You make the case that he's the
whole
MVP.
different conversation.
Yeah. So Jackson, Allen, Mahomes, down 7 or down 6, 70-something yards to go, late fourth quarter under 2 minutes, one timeout. Who you taking?
Mahomes. He's the Michael Jordan of the NFL. I've seen it countless times over. Like it doesn't matter. He can have Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. He can have you at wide out, me at wide out. I could care less. He's going to find a way to give us the ball.
Yeah, and that's why you're saying it. You know why you're saying it? Because you've seen it before.
That's all that matters. He wins. When it matters the most, I don't care what he does in a regular season. In playoff time, what does Mahomes do? It was just like Brady, Joe Montana on that final drive. You might as well forget about it. It's over. Like it's a wrap.
Yeah. Which is funny because, again, it's like going back to the Kobe conversation. You've seen it.
I've seen it. Fourth quarter.
Can you imagine if they get back to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, and they win it again?
I don't think it's far fetched.
I mean, back to back to back. But think of in this era.
We gotta have that we gotta have the GOAT conversation at that point.
Well, I mean, listen.
I have my opinion on it, but I don't want to get certain fan bases upset.
At this moment,
yeah,
you have him what, top 5 quarterback of all time?
He's top 3, top 2. There's
So
only
you
2
basically
names.
have you got
There's
Brady, Mahomes.
there's only 2 guys that can have a conversation with Mahomes. That's Montana and Brady.
I mean, I can't argue that because I've always maintained Montana over Brady, and I've always had my reasons. Now, again, being a Giant fan and having Eli beat Brady not once, twice is perfect. But for what Brady has accomplished, it's and plus you also have to consider where he was drafted and how he was overlooked. Montana, not so much. But you also, if Montana didn't have to deal with a lot of his injuries, his numbers probably would have been a little better. And think about this, their best shot to go back to back to back, they won in 88, they beat Cincy. They destroyed, right, in 89, they destroyed the Broncos. They had an opportunity to go back to back to back. They lost to the Giants. So Montana, 84, 85, 86, they lost to the Giants. They had juggernaut teams. I still, for me, I'm okay with 1-1. I'm okay with saying that, again, Brady and Montana. And I know Jay, I think, is a diehard Pats fan and has ties to tell me to shut up on my own show. I mean, what do you want me to flash you 2 rings? I don't know what you want me to. I'm sorry about that, Jay. It is. Elway better than everyone except number 12. Elway, I'm sorry, man. I'm not putting Elway over Montana. And Elway won when he finally got a running game.
Those 2 rings helped Elway a lot.
Elway made his bones with the drive, no doubt. And then obviously the following year, Biner with the fumble. But Elway, 7 rings. Yeah, but guess what? Eli beat him twice for 2.
Nick Foles got one in there too.
Fans are funny, man.
Nick Foles got one in there too.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count. That's Pats fans are funny because the 7 rings, that's phenomenal. Right? I don't think they can live with having a 10-year stretch of what I've endured. They would not be able to just deal with 4-13, 3-14. They just can't. I mean, it's just horrible. And now I got no quarterback under contract. I don't know if I want a quarterback in the draft. This is why I go fishing on Sundays during the NFL season. This is why you see me routinely go like that.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Q.
Got the Knicks. Got St. John's.
There you go.
Right? I mean, it's been bad, my friend. So Mahomes, no question. Mahomes, Brady, 1-2 or 1-1.
Yeah.
Would you have that same? Can we make that same argument? But see, that's apples and oranges again, man. If we go back to the whole LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, why can't we just stick them all in one pot and just kind of appreciate?
I would rather do that because you're never going to have everybody has their own.
Like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Everyone's pitting this Josh Allen versus Lamar. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's 2 great quarterbacks playing at the height of their career. I think Patrick Mahomes has another 6 years of really high level. Now, you marvel at what some of these other quarterbacks. I mean, look, Rodgers for his age, Brady for his age, keeping his body in shape and playing at a high level. Montana had the back issues. He wasn't able to do that. So you marvel at what these guys do. The next step is, okay, Patrick, now you're a father again. You might win another one. That's 3. What's the motivation? What's the incentive? Are you trying to catch Brady?
Right. It's going to be, I would put my money on Mahomes doing it again this year. I'm that confident in what he does as a football player and how he leads his guys. This is where he turns it up. This is where Andy Reid and those guys, they just turn it up to a new level. And so nothing has deterred me away from believing in that formula this year.
When we look at the NFL, we always say, the quarterback and the head coach, right? Who made who? Relationship has to work. In the NBA, how important is coaching in the NBA?
I think it's important in the sense of having a plan when things go wrong, making adjustments, right? Putting guys in the right position, but also developing guys. Like there's a lot of elements that go down to it, but at the end of the day, you still need those guys, those star players to lead you. But a coach can have an impact on building confidence of certain players and developing certain players on the margins, right? And having a plan when things go wrong and allowing guys to, I think there's an art form to coaching. Let me let these guys, they can handle this. Do I need to call a timeout here? Like there's an art to it, right? So it is
of a Brett Brown or Doc Rivers when to call a timeout during a run, when not to call a timeout during a run. I mean, look, some of these franchises, you turn around, you get the Casey Joyners and you get the Pat Rileys, right? I mean, you're spoiled. Even Pop all those years. The runs with San Antonio.
Yeah.
Coach. I think coaching. It's a factor in the NBA, especially come playoff time. Regular season, you kind of let these guys, kind of do their own thing. So, All right, my friend, listen, always appreciate the insight, the extended time.
Always.
We'll do this on the weekly, and congrats again. Sure. Look at this. So Angels, the more guests we have, his square becomes smaller. Yes, Angel Fire. Right.
By the way, Jonathan. Not Ricardo is a strong name. Angelito. Just remember that. All right.
I like that. I like that better than Richard, actually.
I mean, that's a strong Spanish name, man. Ricardo.
Exactly.
Angelito. Carlito.
I'm not mad at that.
But definitely a boy, right?
For sure. Yep.
All right. Let me know once he pops out. I'll get him some good Giant and some Knicks gear.
No.
And we'll find something to do with that.
Exactly. Congratulations, by the way. And I hope
thank you.
Baby and mom are nice and healthy. But no, just you got the right gear on.
Not yet, Angel. Not yet. In May.
I know, but I'm saying it's still baby is still at early birthing stages.
Like when we have to fact check. See, that's a shot right there. By the way, you see right there, man. See, that's.
Well, hold on. Wait.
A shot.
Wait.
Really? It's a strong name.
Sure is.
It's a strong name.
See, that's what I was talking about. On the baby to be.
See, there we go.
See?
I feel as though there's a lot of fact checking on this show with every word that comes out of our mouths.
Okay. Well, the listeners, they like to chime in to make sure of.
Yeah,
by the way, don't forget you guys can listen to Jonathan Marshall Time Podcast. Where? Right here.
I mean, I was going to promote.
I'm sorry. Okay. Excuse me.
Plug the show.
Where'd he go? He just like that. Yes, you can catch Marshall Time Pod. Jonathan and his brother do an awesome job talking hoops and catch that on SR 102.9 FM The Game. All right, brother. Listen, I held you long enough. Appreciate a couple moments. We'll do it again next week, pal. Always appreciate it.
You. Take care, Angel.
My guy, Jonathan, quick timeout. We'll come back and we will close it out on the other side. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. Yes.
No, I thought you were going to say something else too.
Yeah, no, I was just going to hit a break and then we'll close it out on the other side. We got Jay coming up at 6, correct?
See.
It's a Wednesday. All right. It's a no negative Wednesday. All right, quick timeout. We'll close it out on the other side.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
Do we somewhere in there? Do we have joke of the day? I'm sure somewhere. Yeah.
I was waiting for it because I figured how to go into the commercial break with the baby. So, hey, just saying. I thought X-Man, other than he said hurry up, I thought he was going to be the first one to say something about it.
We know all about Gabriella's mom. Heck yeah. Let's listen. John might get back in the NBA. Hurry up. I don't know. Apparently there is the joke on a Wednesday, and I don't know. Oh my God, are you serious? Again, if I have to hear the snide historical back patting of Giants lucky wins again, and then wait, did you see this one? This was a shot right here. I got to get through Jay's 76 messages, but hold on. What? My God, it was taking a shot because here we go. Q is also a self-proclaimed movie quote master. Angel, I know my movies.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's good enough. Oh my God, I'll post it again. Like this is where we get, we're putting out content all week, all day. And no, Jay, you can keep the comments coming, brother. Exactly. I don't mind if it's 771. Sometimes we miss the joke of the day. By the way, so no Embiid tonight. Sixers and the Knicks, and that will be a 7:00 tip. Celtics and the Raptors. You got a heavy night in the NBA. Rockets and the Nuggets, Heat and the Lakers. Tomorrow, we will start to look in the divisional matchups. I am not sure yet, but it looks like Friday I will be traveling for the fights, which means, the hell is she doing? Oh my God, she just threw her little cow ear. So she eats it and breaks it apart. She just flung it at me because she probably heard that I might not be on the air on Friday. So I gotta fling it back. So we're not sure. If anything, maybe I'll do something earlier in the day. And then Saturday we have the fights in South Philly, 2300 Arena. So I might try to give you at least something audio wise. But we'll figure something out. No joke of the day. It's not posted anywhere, right?
I know. No, it's not. I don't see it. I'm honestly shocked, especially because it's Wednesday. That would be like the easiest day to make a joke.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe it should be no joke Wednesday.
That could be it.
As opposed to no negative, because let's be honest, for 2 hours, we do kind of bitch whining.
Hold on. Wait, speaking of, before we sign off here, where was it? Let me go back. I should have marked it as a favorite.
It's probably not showing up.
No, it's not even that. It's gone way back when you talked about Monday. Hold on. Because he did say something. Oh, here it is.
Look toward the radio, local Mondays. That's a new name for Mondays. I don't know, man. Listen, what's going to happen as soon as we sign off? You know how we get that flurry of some comments?
Yep.
When we sign off, that's exactly what's going to happen. I want to remind everyone that our guy Jay's coming up as well. Keep it locked in right here. SR 1029 FM The Game, Southwest Florida's newest game in town.
Oh boy. Wait. Mickey, at the end of the night.
I mean, good content, 2 hours, a lot of fun. Everyone's positive, not a no negative Wednesday, and all of a sudden I'm not no Rich Wednesday. Hey. Knock it off. Cállate. Again, with the biting constantly.
Because it's that stage.
And you know what? I think she's getting bigger. Like I was told this is the size. I'm telling you, this dog's getting a little bigger. She's getting a little feisty too. A little snippy with the attitude. She's from Puerto Rico, man. She got a little.
That's what it is. She's gonna walk up to you. No, joda, oíste.
She does when she walks. Dum, 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 dum. So, all right, good stuff from Jonathan Marshall. And hey, sorry, man, your joke did not filter through. I don't know, man. There's something going on. So you know what? The joke did not filter through. I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. We don't know why. Right back at you, Mickey. Right back at you, my friend. All right. Got to start wrapping up. Good stuff from Jonathan Marshall. Appreciate everyone keeping us tuned in on X, on Facebook, on the YouTube channel. Download the app. Check out the website, SR1029 The Game. Don't forget Jay's coming up as well at 6. Keep it locked in. No, the FCC did not get on that. Man. You have to come back and try it another day. Agent Martinez, Behind the Glass Producer Show, keeping us on the air. 6 o'clock straight up. We'll do it again tomorrow, 4 to 6 with the Drive with Q. As always, be safe, be sound. Hasta luego. Buen día.